Chargers coming into this matchup having lost 3 of their last 4 games and making a statement against the Vikings. First drive of the game, 37-10. They go to 5-3 now. Didn't trail the entire game. Here was Jim Harbaugh in the locker room afterwards.
Well done, well done. Give each other a high five. I got one question for you. Who could possibly have it better than us? Nobody!
It's just frustrating, just going out there and performing the way we've been performing and not putting up points and not, hitting stops. That's all a team effort, and we're just not doing enough.
Man, Dan, the Vikings were really disappointing on both sides of the ball. They're at 3-4. They're in the bottom of the NFC North. How do you view this loss in particular?
I think this is the most disappointing roster in football right now. This is an organization that this offseason spent the second most of free agent money in the NFL. And this was a roster that was built in many of our eyes to be like quarterback independent. And one, this offensive line cannot protect on a consistent basis at all. The interior of their offensive line is very poor. 2, this run defense has been ran all over this season, all over this year, and it happened again last night. The Chargers came out and just like, here comes 3 tight ends run game. Stop it. I'm shocked because I honestly thought that this team was built to say if you just had average quarterback play, you're an NFC championship contender. Anybody that wants to tell me Carson Wentz is the issue right now in Minnesota, we can have a conversation and I'll tell you you're out of your mind. The quarterback is not the problem in Minnesota right now. JJ McCarthy is not going to save them. Carson Wentz certainly is not going to save them. This roster is unbelievably disappointing right now.
Well, we've been for a few weeks having a conversation, and I've been on, keep Carson Wentz in that spot. And to your point, Dan, you could see some of the things happening with Carson Wentz that's not on him. But ultimately, this has put them back into what I believe the JJ McCarthy, when he's back and healthy, get him going, right? Because I was thinking that this season was going to lead to them having some success, and you would have to think about, if we want to take Carson Wentz out of the situation, the way this team has been playing as a whole. But let me challenge everybody on this as well, and meaning D.O. follow along. This Brian Flores defense is pressure-based. It's hard to do that. I'm telling y'all, as a former defensive player in this league for a long time, it's hard to do that when your offense can't move the football, can't sustain drives, and put points on the board.
Yeah.
They actually give you an opportunity to be as aggressive. Now you see so much of this defense there in man-to-man. We've been talking about that a tremendous amount of time. And last year, when you had Sam Darnold and the crew putting up points, you had other offenses that felt like they needed to become explosive, and it laid into the hands of what Minnesota wanted to do defensively. But now when you're calling plays like last night as Greg Roman was, and you don't have to worry about if the offense is going to be explosive or if they can put up points, now you use the entire toolbox. And that is what I think is happening to this defense. So for all of our fans that watch NFL Live, the people that hear us talk about football, that is how offense directly impacts defense and how you go about playing it. And it works that way on both sides of the floor. You cannot be a pressure-based team when your offense is not putting up points. It puts you in such a bad way as a defense to give up 2 or 3 explosive plays and the game may be over.
Here's what I'll give you. They've become less aggressive on early downs offensively. I will give you that. They signed 4 dudes to huge contracts, and the interior of their offensive line and the interior of their defensive line. And right now, none of them are playing good enough.
Yeah, they have those great receivers. Carson Wentz just not decisive in any way. So, Mina, I thought of you. Wait, are we still talking about this, or Mina, can we move to the Chargers? Because your guy Joe Alt played last night, and I know you changed your pick last Friday when he wasn't playing to pick the Colts, but he made a big difference. Talk to me about the Chargers.
Yeah, it's wild to watch any Chargers game where Justin Herbert is not the quarterback being most terrorized, but that was the dynamic in this one. They talked about the Viking side of it and the lack of pass protection. With Herbert, I think the relative lack of pressure can be attributed to a few things. One, undoubtedly, the return of Joe Alt, stabilizing force, also in the run game. 2, Herbert consistently finding answers versus the blitz, sometimes with his legs, by the way, as you see there. And then the play-action passing attack, which, sorry, by the way, if you're taking a shot every time we say play-action on this show, you're probably drunk, but it was the story of the offense in this game. They had the highest play-action rate of the season, 47% of the time. the bomb to Gadsden, who is the real deal, by the way, that tight end.
Yes.
They got under center, put heavy bodies on the field, and boom, got the matchup. He went over the top. That's the Chargers' identity on offense. We saw at the beginning of the season. They want to get heavy. They want to play action off of it. And then in the second half, they ran the ball really well out of it.
Yeah, shout out to Kamani Vidal, okay? He wasn't in the highlight, but man, 117 rushing yards and a touchdown from your third string running back. All right, you guys, so much more to chat about and come on this edition of...
Let's go to Thursday Night Football, where the Chargers beat the Vikings 37-10. It's Minnesota's second worst loss under head coach Kevin O'Connell. The 164 total yards are the worst under O'Connell. Carson Wentz was sacked 5 times and pressured on 44% of his dropbacks. Okay, Jeremy, JJ McCarthy hadn't played since week 2. What's the likelihood he comes back for week 9?
Jay, I'm told that there is cautious optimism that over this 10-day stretch next Sunday that he can get back and play for the first time in over a month. Cautious, I say, because with the ankle issue, they just want to make sure everything goes well. He can get through the practice week. The issue really is mobility, because he only has 2 career starts. If he was like a 5 or 10-year starter, I do believe there was a chance that he would be back out there at this point. But he needs his legs to get himself out of trouble, and they've had a banged-up offensive line. So there was a lot to consider for a young quarterback beyond just him being hurt. But they're coming off a 10-point game. They have nothing to lose at this point. McCarthy's trending in the right direction. So I do expect, at least right now, that he'll put himself in a position to play.
Okay, on the other side of this, Mina, the Chargers scored their second most points in the Jim Harbaugh.
Here's Kevin O'Connell, the Vikings coach, on the rough night that his team had from the get-go.
Wasn't our night in any capacity, any way, shape, or form, from the interception being overturned early on to potentially having one of your biggest plays of the night turn into them having the ball at midfield. It was an avalanche of momentum for them that we tried to overcome. I like the fight to start the second half, from the turnover Metellus forces on the pick to putting that ball in the end zone there. We just, in no way, shape, or form were good enough tonight to win the football game as coaches or players.
O'Connell also said he did not have his team prepared to play. There are no excuses. Injury is not an excuse. And he committed that they're going to go basically back to the lab, back to the practice field. They'll have extra time to get ready for the Week 9 game, which is at Detroit. And the difference is, as they get back together for that final game, game number 272 of the 2024 season, and we were there for the festivities, and it was a clunker. The Lions are still as good as they were. The Vikings are not what they were. And the issue is the quarterback position, plain and simple. They made a calculation, they made a decision, and now the question for me, Michael Hawley, is when are they going to pull the plug on the decision, if the plug needs to be pulled? We are at the moment, and I wrote this last night before I went to bed. It just made me feel a little bit better. We're at the moment where it's time for the Vikings to put JJ McCarthy out there. There has been a sense that, I don't really think it's a soft benching. They were just trying to take advantage of the reality that Carson Wentz was holding down the fort. He won a couple of games. And JJ McCarthy, there's no reason to rush him back from the high ankle sprain. There's no reason to do it. No reason to do it. The injury, I was told after they beat the Browns in week 5, the game in London, that the JJ McCarthy injury is a 4 to 6 week injury. Their next game after the bye would be week 7 against the Eagles, 7-2. And this is one of the few mathematical exercises I'm still capable of performing, is 5. It was right in the middle of the window. So, okay, you know what? We beat the Browns. I'm not saying I'm saying this is the monologue that the Vikings would have. We beat the Browns. Carson Wentz has been okay. We get 2 weeks to get ready for the Eagles. He's probably got a little something extra for the Eagles because they drafted him. He's played them once, never beaten them. Let's let it fly and see what happens. Okay, they did. And you could make the argument if they had a functioning quarterback on Sunday, they would have beaten the Eagles. And then you got a quick turnaround for Thursday night. Both guys are still not 100%. Now it's time. And hey, JJ McCarthy's been healthy enough to be the number 3 quarterback the past couple of weeks, so he's healthy enough to play. So now you got to get him ready to play, Michael, and you got to see what he has. It's time to see what he has. This season is teetering on the brink. You're not going to win the Super Bowl every year. This isn't a Super Bowl team. I know we've seen some dramatic turnarounds in the past. This is not a Super Bowl team. The sooner they admit it, and the sooner they treat the rest of this season as preparation for next year, and let's see what we have in JJ McCarthy. Well, what if he gets injured again? That means that he's not the guy. See, they say injury isn't an excuse for performance of a team. Injury also isn't an excuse for performance of a quarterback, because franchise quarterbacks are available to play every week. Franchise quarterbacks don't get lost for the season by a preseason meniscus tear. Franchise quarterbacks don't suffer a high ankle sprain in week 2. They know how to avoid that. They know how to protect themselves. They know how to function. So if JJ McCarthy can't stay healthy, then he's not a franchise quarterback. Move on. It's over. It's done. And if he can't play at an acceptable level, move on. It's over. It's done. And if they try to double down to justify their mistake, they're only going to make it worse. That's the next test for the Vikings. Will they gather enough evidence to know whether or not they made a mistake? Will they admit the mistake if it was a mistake? Or will they double down and make it worse next year?
Mike, I think this is so easy. This is an easy call for the Vikings and Kevin O'Connell, not McConnell. This is an easy call for him.
Even Mitch McConnell could make this decision.
Yeah, that's right. This is where the dueling sides of the family can agree. They can break bread over this. They both agree that the call to make is to give the job to JJ McCarthy and just let him go. I thought this before, and it turns out I'm probably wrong. You said you were wrong on something. I was probably wrong about this, dead wrong. It looks like I am. Before 2024 draft, and we keep hearing, it could be 5, 6, 7 quarterbacks. So many quarterbacks could go early in this draft, and they're all good prospects. And I was thinking, there's no way. If 6 quarterbacks go in the first round, one of them won't be able to play. And I think I'm wrong, because the only guy we have questions about that is JJ McCarthy. And JJ McCarthy, it's not really fair to say he can't do it or he can do it, because we haven't seen enough from him. But the other guys, 1, 2, 3 in that draft, Caleb Williams, Jaden Daniels, Drake May, they're all starting quarterbacks. They've all done well to in some degree. Jaden Daniels doing the best, going the farthest with the NFC Championship game. You look at Michael Penix starting, he's had some success. Bo Nix made the playoffs as a rookie, and the one guy who's sitting there and we don't know enough about yet is JJ McCarthy. So he has to play. The Vikings drafted him in the first round. They identified him as the guy. They could have had Bo Nix, but they took JJ McCarthy. So, okay, McCarthy's the guy.